Okay, here's our review. If this is 6 and this is 10, what is this side right here? If we know two sides of a right triangle, how do we find a third side? What did we do at the very start of the chapter? We didn't do trig. What did we do? Yes, exactly. The Pythagorean Theorem. C squared equals A squared plus B squared. So, what is C in this case? 10. So 10 squared equals 6 squared plus x squared. So 100 equals 36 plus x squared. Subtract 36. X squared equals 64. Take the square root. X equals 8. Now, will it be a whole number on the test? Might be, might not be. Okay? All right. Then you'll be asked, is 5, 12, 13 a right triangle, yes or no? Well, how do we check if it's a right triangle? Pythagorean theorem. Is 13 squared equal to 5 squared plus 12 squared? Well, this is 169. This is 25 plus 144, which is 169. So if they're equal, then it's yes. 8, 21, 26. Is 26 squared equal to 8 squared plus 21 squared? What's 26 squared? I don't know. 676 compared to 64 plus 441. Are they equal? No. This is bigger, so it's a no. So it's a yes or no answer. Remember, your biggest side is always your hypotenuse, which is always C. Okay? All right. Your hypotenuse of a 30, 60, 90 is 10. What are the other two sides? If your hypotenuse of a 30, 60, 90 is 10, what are the other two sides? Which side do we always find first in a 30, 60, 90? The short side. Looking at the chart here, okay, what's the short side compared to the hypotenuse going to be? The hypotenuse is 2 times the short side, so the short side is half the hypotenuse. So if the hypotenuse is 10, what's the short side? 5. So then what do we take times the short side to get to the long leg? Multiply by square root of 3. So this is 5 square root of 3. Okay? So you have to know how to find the other two legs. Okay? All right. Then we have lots of trig on here. Okay? So if this is 112, this is 17, and this is 96. And we have A, B, and C. What's the sign of A going to equal? Well, first side we find is the hypotenuse. Okay, which side's the hypotenuse? And then for trig, there's an opposite side and an adjacent side. Which is opposite of A? 96 is opposite. 17 is adjacent. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse. What's the opposite side? 96. What's the adjacent or hypotenuse? 112. Opposite over hypotenuse. Okay? All right. Then if we have a triangle and this is 62 and this is 20, what's the perimeter of this triangle? Okay, so this is the hypotenuse, right? So how do we find the opposite side? What trig function is the opposite in hypotenuse? Sine. So the sine of our 62-degree angle is our opposite side. Let's just make this x, make this y. Is x over the hypotenuse of 20. How do we get x alone? Multiply by 20. So somebody on your calculator take 20 times the sine of 62. Rounded to the nearest tenth. 17.7. Now we got to figure out y. Y is the adjacent side to 62, right? So then it's cosine of 62 equals y over 20. So then we multiply by 20. What is y equal to? 9.4. I'll go with that. So if you add 9.4 to 20 or to 17.7, you get 27.1 plus 20 is 47.1. Are we good? Perimeter. All right. Then we get into the law of sines. Okay, we got to find x there. So since we have opposites, we use law of sines because it's not a right triangle. Okay. So we say the sine of 21 over 12 equals the sine of 36 over x. So then we're going to cross multiply. Well, actually, it's easier if we just take this times this divided by that. So 12 times the sine of 36, press equals on your calculator, divide by the sine of 21, press equals, and what do you get? 19.7. Okay, 19.7. All right. All right, so okay. So how do we use the law of sines to write this out? What would I put over what? The sine of 53 over 17 equals the sine of x over 12. Now, if I said x equals the inverse sine of a times the sine of b over c, which numbers go in for a, b, and c? Okay. Well, where did we start with? We start with the 12. And we take that times the sine of 53, right? So it'd be 12 times the sine of 53 divided by 17. So what's a? You don't even have to use your calculator. What's a? 12. What's b? 53. What's c? 17. It's just, can you set it up to put it into your calculator? It's not even doing any calculations. You're not finding anything. What's a, b, and c? So if you can write out this, you just have to figure out, okay, where do I start? And that's a. And then this is b. And then this is c. Okay, law of sines. Okay, then we'll have a perimeter problem. Okay, what's the perimeter of this thing? All right. First step. Well, should we figure out what C is? Sine of 39.2 over C equals a sine of 46.5 over 14.5. What do we get? 14.5 times the sine of 39.2 divided by 46.5. What do we get for C? 17.2. Okay, now we got to find side A, right? Well, to find side A, we got to find that angle up there. So take 180 minus 39.2 minus 46.5. Something 0.3. 94.3. Okay. So then take the sine of 94.3 over A equals the sine of 46.5 over 14.5. So 14.5 times the sine of 94.3 divided by the sine of 46.5 equals A. Yeah, C is not right. C is not right. Let's try that again. So 14.5 times the sine of 39.2 hit equals divided by the sine of 49.5 hit equals. What do we get? 12 point something? I'll go with that. And then 14.5 times the sine of 94.3 hit equals divided by the sine of 46.5 hit equals. What does A equal to? 19.9. If you add up 19.9 plus 12.6 plus 14.5, what do we get? 47. Okay. Then we'll have a side angle side problem where this is 14, this is 22, and this is 65. How do you find x over here? If it's side angle side, can we use law of sines? It's law of cosines. So it's to find a side, it's one of the top ones. So if we make this A, and this B, and this C, okay, then we go A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine of A. So A squared equals 14 squared plus 22 squared minus 2 times 14 times 22 cosine of 65. So A squared equals some big number. I don't know what that is. And then take second square root, second answer on your calculator. And you get 20.5 for A. Okay? Law of cosines. Then your other law of cosines problem will be 24, 22, 28. And we need to figure out angle X right here. This is B, this is A, and this is C. Which formula would you use? Right here. This one right here, because we're looking for angle B, right? So B equals the inverse cosine of 24 squared minus 28 squared minus 22 squared all over negative 2 times 28 times 22. So on your calculator, the way it would work out is you'd go inverse cosine, which is second cosine, put two parentheses, 24 squared minus 28 squared minus 22 squared, parenthesis, divided by parenthesis, negative 2 times 28 times 22, parenthesis, parenthesis, equals, and you get, ooh, no. Yeah. 55.8 degrees. Sounds right. Okay. All right. Here's a ramp. The angle of depression of the ramp, which is 5 feet high, the angle of depression is what we're looking for if the ramp is 30 feet long. Well, the angle of depression is the same as what? The angle of elevation over here. Okay? So this is my opposite. This is my adjacent. So the tangent of x equals my opposite side over my adjacent side. How do I get x alone? Move the tangent to the other side. So it becomes the inverse tangent of 5 over 30. So x equals 9.5 degrees. Hello. Did I take it? Oh, I bet I did push save. Okay. All right. Bye. Yep. Bye. Ugh. Oh, the stupid computer. Cancel. We'll just go like this. Really? Can't cancel. Can't leave. There we go. Get back in. Attendance. Save. All right. So we know how to find an angle. Okay? So, next one. Somebody who's looking up at a flag, an angle of 40 degrees. Okay, they're looking up at a flag at an angle of 40 degrees. They are 5 feet tall, looking up at the flag. How tall is the flagpole here? Well, we got to figure out what y is right here. Okay? So if this is 40 degrees and this is Y, and they are 30 feet away from the flag, how do I figure out what Y is? Opposite and adjacent, so it's tangent. So the tangent of 40 is the opposite side over the adjacent side. So we multiply both sides by 30. X equals 30 times tangent of 40 is what? 25.2. Now, that's what Y is, this part of the flagpole. Now, if they're 5 foot tall, then you have to add another 5 onto that, and the flagpole is 30.2 feet high. Okay, last one. If this is 46, this is 18, and this is 21, what's the area of this triangle? It's 1/2 A, B, sine of C. When side angle side, you go the two sides times each other times the sine of the angle in between. So, simply on your calculator, what would it be? Approximately 136. All right, so that is what you'll see on the test. I'm going to hand out a review worksheet for you to practice getting ready for the test.